Alright, everything looks good, and we are live. Welcome along! I know last week I said that Hockenheim is a track that you don't think of the NASCAR Cup cars and Hockenheim put together. I should have saved that for this week. Welcome along, everybody. Fan243 joining alongside AKDJ2006. AK, I mean, I can't be too wrong on that, right?
No.
Should have saved the uniqueness for this week. So we're here at the LeMans, specifically the old LeMans circuit. So the one with a very, very long back straightaway. And I can't even put into words what to expect for tonight's race. A lot of changes, though, made for tonight's race to compensate for the uniqueness of Le Mans. Would you care to go over a few of the changes that we have for tonight?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of them is one, obviously, you can see it is a timed race instead of a lapped race. That is probably one of the biggest changes that we have for this week. Because obviously, a lap count is a rough estimate of how much time you have. Now we know we have exactly an hour before the end of the race. Another one is that we will be going right off the start instead of a pace lap, because obviously it's 8.44 miles. Nobody's going to want to pace that because that will take probably almost half the time of the race. Another one, obviously, is with the yellows. Everyone will just stop and regroup, and then we'll go off at a certain time point is what I understood. So a couple of fairly big changes, but I mean, it will add a new key aspect and it will add new challenges for the drivers this week. So it will be very interesting to see.
Would be very, very interesting indeed in what we have in store here tonight. So, keynote changes that you said for tonight's race. Obviously, yes, a timed event. And for a timed event, from my perspective, I have very little experience in timed events. But all I know for sure in a timed event is that at least the one thing that you don't need to worry about is, give or take, how long before I make my move. You can know exactly when you make your move, since you know how much time is left before the end of the race. There is no overtime, there's no extension, and there really isn't a lot of factors that you would need to deal with in a lapped race, in a lapped race. So, but for this track, specifically with this car, these types of cars and the tune that we're running tonight, is it going to come into a factor how differently you actually are going to race it? Or would you still approach it as, okay, we're probably only going to run maybe 20 laps tonight?
I mean, it definitely does play a change in the mind of every driver, because it almost puts more pressure in their mind, because it's not something where a caution could extend this race a little bit, so you have time to make and plan your moves. A caution is just going to eat into that time, so really, the drivers don't really want many cautions. The more cautions we have, the more it will eat into everyone's time to actually make passes on people. So we'll see some drivers maybe try and be aggressive off the start and off restarts. Just from experience with this track, that's not really what you want to do. You want to be very mindful of your moves on this track, because it is a very narrow and unforgiving track, because there are sand traps practically all over the place at Le Mans, and if it's not a sand trap, it's a wall. So it's a very unforgiving track. So you want to be mindful and you want to be cautious of your moves. You don't want to be too cautious, obviously, because yet again, there's that duration, there's that hour that you have. There's no, like you said, there's no overtime, there's no extensions, there's nothing. Cautions will eat into that. Anything you do will eat into that time. So it definitely will give a new mindset to all of these drivers anymore.
Now, it will help if you have more experience running events that are timed events, because you do have that little bit of experience that you can bring into it. But other than that, there's not really much else that can come into play other than, we know the race will exactly take an hour. Like you said, cautions will eat into that precious time that you have left. So, really could be some interesting things that we're going to be seeing tonight. Damage is only on fuel and tires, so you would still have that tire wear and that fuel wear is there any point in time that you have, or is there any sense of when you would need to go into pit road? Like, will tires, with how long this track is, there's not really much aggressive moves to be made with your tires, though. So, since it's still a road course, are tires the biggest factor, or do tires last a little bit longer than other tracks, even though this track is, like, double the size of all the other tracks that we go to?
Yeah, just from experience from this track, obviously, tires don't particularly come into play unless you use them up a lot. Unless you are very aggressive on your tires, tires shouldn't really be a factor because there's a lot of long straights on this track, especially that very, very long back straight. So that sort of doesn't wear down the tires too much and gives your tires some time to cool down so that they're not wearing at a huge rate. So you're going to be more so looking at your fuel than your tires unless you're a very, very aggressive on this track or a very aggressive driver.
Mm-hmm. Aggression, consistency, precious time, all different factors to take into account for tonight's race. But for tonight's race, let's take a little look at the grid order. Vanquish qualifies on pole for tonight's race, with Hawk in second, Off-Road third, Jenkum fourth, Girl Next Door in fifth, Smokey Eunuch in sixth, AOG Edwards in seventh, Oracle in eighth, FM in ninth, Panda in 10th, MVP in 11th, Cart in 12th, Reno in 13th, Culture in 14th, 15th we have TikTok X73, and then in 16th we have RZX Cam. So, a little bit of a different grid order tonight. MVP, we're not used to seeing all the way back there in 11th. But we will see, obviously, if he can make his way back up. The grid is starting. The race is starting. And in this countdown, they're going to go off the bat. As we wait for everything to load in. Always wanted to say this. Lights out and away we go.
You can see off the start that we've seen almost 3 wide from back to the pack. It'll come into sort of a bottleneck here in turn 1 and 2 from that wider straightaway. So you see a lot of contact with those corners.
Now here through the first set of S's on this track. Cars already gotten single file for most of the field. Vanquish, Hawk, Jenkum, Oracle all lead.
Great move by Kurt, just made 3 overtakes in one corner, but he did two cars wide out in the stand trap. That was Panda and another. I didn't see who.
Very soon, with all these drivers in that long back straightaway that's going to be in the picture here.
It was Panda and Edwards that went to that stand trap. It looked like Edwards might have just accidentally hooked Panda's corner panel, and they just went straight on to the turn just before the long straight.
Now Cam drafting off of Cart, looking like he's going to get the pass done. Now here, this back straightaway is really going to be a unique factor that we're going to have here tonight. And the fact that with how long this backstretch really and truly is, it makes it to where you can draft to pass as if you were at Daytona. Because now Cart is regaining momentum back on Cam, who just passed him at the beginning of this straightaway.
Yeah, and while this straight is a long straight, you could really, the place you're going to pass is right here where they're coming into. So you're going to outbrake, just like Cart did. Outbrake and get more control of your car on that corner. That's where you're going to make most of your passes. You'll get a nice draft and you'll be able to set people up on that long straight, but you might only be able to get side by side with a person, is what I'm sort of looking at.
There's ground to be made up. Now we see right along with MVP, who's already made himself a few spots since the start of the race. Couple fast chicanes here, and MVP getting into Kart Racer! He sends him into the sand trap. Reno also involved.
Yeah, that chain event, like we said, there's not a lot of room here. You can see how tight it is. They can barely make it too wide. So when Card and MVP got together, it just started to stack up, and behind them, Reno gets into the wall, and it just causes another chain.
Another chain indeed. Now that created separation between Group 1 and Group 2 here. Group 2 really starts all the way back in 7th. And then the first 5 cars have sort of pulled away here. Vanquish still in first, Hawk in second. And now there's separation growing between the top 3. And I mean, what more can you do once separation starts to build up?
What you can do is you can try and just start work together with people, and especially on the, like we said, the straight. If you're working together, you can gain a lot of time. If you have 2 or 3 cars in a tandem, you can definitely gain a lot of time on some leaders who are just by themselves. But obviously, other than that, you can just try and maybe find a path or follow, see what other people are doing that's working, and try to adapt it. Like we said, you have an hour to do anything you need to do to get up to the front.
Culture, Smokey around off the final corner.
Like we said, this track is very narrow at some points, and there's sand traps littered all over the place. And if it's not a sand trap, like I said, it's a wall. So we're gonna see a lot of stack ups and a lot of chain reactions in areas that we've already seen.
Yeah, already 2 incidents that happened right away off the rip.
And another thing is these cars, this track was built mostly for high downforce, high grip cars that have a fairly high top end. A stock car definitely does not fit that description. It has some downforce, but this generation is very boxy and doesn't have a whole ton of aerodynamics. To your LMP cars and previous F1 cars that have brakes.
Riding along with TikTok here. The car is all over the back bumper of MVP.
Yeah,
down this backstretch.
This is sort of what I said. Is this is how you're going to gain time on leaders and people ahead of you. Just trying to work together as they are
very
wide.
Very close, insane. With Jacob right there, they were all in a pinch, all trying to gather spots. But now for the braking zone. Kart looks like he missed it slightly. MVP to the bottom of him. They're both side by side.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, and now Kart might lose 2 spots out of this.
Might actually lose 3.
Yeah, he will. Loses the spot to TikTok.
And I mean, there
X73, that is.
there are both benefits to doing what all 4 of these cars have done, but they're also not great. Obviously, MVP gained a couple of spots, Jakeem gained a couple of spots, but because they're fighting like this and not working together on that straight as much as they could have, they probably lost some time to the leaders too.
Well, and the time separated is a lot to look at. With Hawk. Says Hawk in the lead? Am I reading right? Oh yes, Hawk and Vanquish are having a battle for the lead right now.
Yeah,
originally, with that separation gap forming, would have thought that Hawk would have not gotten to Vanquish, but obviously some separation happened.
Yeah, Hawk's been a pretty well-rounded driver for the season. We've seen him get second places at road courses, second places at ovals, third places at road courses, third places at ovals. He's been pretty well consistent, so it doesn't shock me too much that that he is sort of keeping pace with Vanquish, because earlier in the season he was able to keep a fair bit of pace with Vanquish and MVP. And with this separation, there isn't really any drafting that comes into play besides obviously these two, and there's no lap cars in play, so they can just go pure skill on this and try and battle each other.
Well, big thing that we also have to consider here is that Hawk, he was very consistent at the beginning of the season, but now the more races he's ran, he's fallen behind a little bit. Now that spot belongs to MVP. MVP average finish of 3.3. Excuse me, I don't know what's up with me today. But now here, Hawk being back up to the pretty much top 2 here, he's trying to make up that 20-point gap that he has on Reno for the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Hawk, I would almost say, is one of the most well-deserving to be in the playoffs, but obviously he did miss a couple of races, so he got dropped out of the playoffs. So he needs to make up back up that ground, and I mean, if he can get a second place here, he's going to help himself a lot, especially with those playoff points. He's accumulated a fair few, but he's not in the playoffs to be able to use them if he does make it. So obviously he's really striving to try and get into that playoff position.
Now, speaking of, the person who is on that cutoff bubble right now in the 8th spot in the point standings is Reno. And Reno, he currently sits at 328 regular season points. Oracle is at 327 as caution is called by race control. And so that's going back to this, that is a 1-point difference. Reno has a 1-point cushion over Oracle, and as of right now, it really makes it to where, well, Oracle is already in right now because of how far ahead he is compared to Reno. And then Hawk, he needs to make up that 20-point gap, which I believe he is making that up right now, being where he's at. Because in second, he would be receiving 45 points. And then back where Reno is in 12th, he would be receiving 29 points. So, yeah, Hawk is barely making up that gap. Or if anything, no, he's cutting it to where next race it would be under 5 points.
Yeah, and obviously that's what Hawk wants. He wants to get that gap as close as possible and as fast as possible. He wants to eventually get ahead of Reno and Oracle as fast as he physically can, which right now he's doing a great job of obtaining the second place, but only one position higher that he can physically get as of right now. But obviously, he needs those points as soon and as quick as possible, and as many as possible. So he's doing a great job out of it right now.
Currently, as they stand right now, after this race, we will go into a couple more unique tracks that XRS is visiting this season. Really, we're on a whole series of unique tracks, last week being the first of which, where we were at Hockenheimring, and then this week we're at LeMans. Looks like they're going back to green.
Signals 49 minutes left in the race.
And now, oh boy, a lot of cars going to be packed up in here. Looks like they're all getting by somewhat smoothly at the moment.
Yeah,
look at that, MVP already made his way back to the top 5.
Outside thing in front of the field, they get too much of 2 others.
Let's go back to Jenkins. There's nobody else that he's collected at the moment, but his tires are very much destroyed.
Yeah, it didn't look like anyone spun up, but some people definitely pile driving into it, obviously no more.
Oh! Kart racer off-road, hard into the wall in the final chicane. That was a horrible collision.
Huge gainer off that restart.
If we had damage on both of those cars would be losing their entire rear end. The housing would have flown off the car. Why, God.
A couple of big gainers off that restart MVP, and they made their way up to third and fourth each.
Yes, MVP, we slowly saw him crawling his way back up into... I mean, yeah, he started this race all the way outside the top 10, and the fact that he's made his way to this point now is very, very nice, very, very well for him. Now, continuing what we were talking about earlier, next week will be Maple Valley Short Circuit, and then race 14 will be Spa. But then after that, race 15 onward, a lot of familiar tracks in the little sprint to the end of this regular season, being Homestead Road Circuit, Homestead Oval, Road America Full Circuit, and then back at Daytona for the second time this season. So a lot of familiar tracks after these unique tracks. Green flag is back.
With that signals 46.5 minutes left in the race.
And we'll see how much more cars are going to be waiting in line or going for a dive bomb here.
Pretty wide from 12 to 13. Off-road in the middle, girl next door on the outside, technically inside, Tupac on the outside.
Let's go all the way to Kart Racer, right his game camera. And this just long line of cars. Yep, 3 wide behind him for 12th, 13th, and 14th. Passing the second chicane, or what would have been that chicane. The kink, and then all the way this heavy braking zone coming up.
Somebody I'm seeing a lot of cars.
Off-road dives. Off-road dives, can he hold it? Cam off the track! FM as well. Both cars spun off of that corner.
And another chain reaction. People trying to avoid others, and they spin another car out.
Big gainer right there in that one corner alone off-road. He was all the way sitting back in 12th, but now he's up to 7th, contesting now with Jankum. But into this turn again! AUG Edwards, JW Reno, and Jacob flipping Edwards over and over in the sand trap. You can't even predict this.
Yeah, this will be a very, very entertaining track tonight. Like we said multiple times today. So at some point, it is barely if we get 2 wide, and we're seeing a lot of 3 wide action already for this race. So it will be definitely a very entertaining race.
And now, oh, Hawk went off the track in the sand trap up ahead. He's losing positions all the way back to 7th now. No, he's all the way back to 10th.
It might have gotten some help from Cart there. Cart might have missed another braking zone.
No, we were riding along with Cart, and Cart did not get into him, but he does get into off-road. They're off track.
Sorry, I was just hearing some driver overlay. That might have been what I was hearing about. Not the Hawk incident. Oh, it looks like another car got into the gravel trap up ahead. That was culture.
Flying into the sand trap. Which is believable because we've seen a lot of cars already slide off, miss their braking point, or like you said, a chain reaction, just trying to avoid another incident. Even though this track is very long, 8.44 miles, it is not that wide.
Yeah, and usually on the other side of the track, it's either a sand trap or a wall.
Oh!
There's a
Reno.
wall there.
Wow.
Pushed the corner just a little too hard.
Yeah, that wall, it's kind of like the wall that we have in Dover in the NASCAR games, but now he's going to get passed by a lot of people here on the long straight. Cart goes on by, Cam is going to go on by him. He might be able to slip in here between Culture and Cam. Looks like he will for now, but it's a long straightaway.
A lot of the cars in the, a lot of cars in the top 5 aren't some cars that you usually see up there. We have Girl Next Door and Oracle that round out the top 5. Oracle we see from time to time in the top 5, and Panda sometimes we'll see in there as well. But Girl Next Door, I think, has only been in the top 5 for a lengthy period of time, only once this season.
Yep, only one time this season. Now MVP, he's made his way back into second. He qualified all the way back because of his laptop.
Yeah, obviously, you need a clean lap to qualify, and unfortunately, he's going to clean lap. Obviously, it is a very long lap, so it is fairly hard to get a clean lap here, but that was one of the main reasons why he was down there. But he had a time to rival Vanquish. I believe it was only 0.219 seconds off of Vanquish's time.
And we're seeing it right here. MVP all over the bumper of Vanquish.
Yeah, I feel like these two will be battling fairly hard throughout tonight. Now, no, Vanquish's time was clean. Hence why he started up on pole. So there obviously at least a little bit of time to be gained, because you are allowed to use anything paved for runoffs, if I remember correctly, for the ruling for this track.
Runoffs you are allowed to use on drivers. They have been informed what is a clear corner cut on whatever pavement you are allowed to use or not. And as you said, caution?
Yeah.
Yep. They've slowed down. He gave a little.
It is fairly hard to try and see who is a part of the caution, because all these cars were just coming through a very low speed zone, so I can't quite tell you who would be part of this caution.
There have been plenty of incidents that we have caught, though, on stream get on track. Cars going just very slow, trying to regather. This has been the third caution of the night, although we have seen a lot more than that. We've seen a lot more incidents that truly... It's already exciting. We're not even halfway through.
And it sounds like they'll be going potentially after the chicane up here.
It says pit road open. So you see some cars diving into that pit lane.
Every car is diving in.
Every single car.
Nope,
but
one car had to ruin it.
Well, who was that one car?
That is a good question.
We're waiting on other people who are making their way back. FM, he is staying out. Let's move up to Smokey, so it looks like he is in the pit lane.
It was off-road. Off-road was the one car to stay out of everyone who was there. Also, the FM came a little later.
Yep, FM. He was out of the picture, very far behind, so waited for him to regroup up with that field. With FM running a nice little legacy motor club. Obviously, this is Jimmy Johnson and Richard Petty. They pretty much rebranded Petty GMS Racing for the IRL NASCAR Cup Series.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big stories of the NASCAR offseason is Jimmy Johnson's return, at least part of the time. That was one of the biggest stories of the offseason.
Now, we've seen what happens when Vanquish, MVP, when they're pretty much right next to people who are not used to starting in the front row. Off-road, he is used to being in the front row. He's a race winner, but not FM. He's not that used to being up here. So it will be interesting, especially to see from what we've seen tonight.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. We'll see how they can handle it. Yeah, I mean, he would have be denominated
Here the cars in the higher gears, which means they are preparing to go very shortly, and they go now.
That's a great restart. Looks to be
Whoa,
making
yes,
a move.
girl. Yes, girl next door making a very good start there.
Comes up to third, I believe, from fifth.
FM already dropping back a little bit. All the way back to that fifth spot. And now off-road, being aggressive on Vanquish. But also, girl next door being there as well. 3 wide for the race lead on this long backstretch. Vanquish and off-road nearly get together.
It'll be very tight. It'll be very tight.
This little kink. Oh,
Very
now the
tight
braking
in the
zone.
corner.
Whoa,
Back
Panda
out.
and MVP nearly getting together.
Let off to the sixth.
Who's going to break first? Is anyone going to miss it?
Oh!
Girl next door sliding an MVP. Takes him out. Vanquish spinning as well. That's not going to work. FM Culture, massive pile up off that corner.
Another very big reaction. This track was completely blocked, and only about 5, maybe 6 cars made it through without slowing down whatsoever. Oh, cart's now sliding.
Sliding up ahead, girl next door, AUG Edwards also off.
Might have been Edwards. It was a black.
Now Cam trying to heavily defend against Vanquish. So much going on right now.
Yeah, that restart, knowing where they were restarting, it was not going to be a very pretty restart, but a very entertaining restart because they started at basically the start of the very long stretch, and just by the start they were just all walking up, and coming down to that very low rate, somebody's going to miss a break, somebody's going to try to push their car just a little too hard, and that's exactly what happened.
Saw a lot happening there. And now with all that, Hawk is the leader.
Obviously, Hawk didn't mind that restart one bit, because he's obviously in the lead.
Yeah, in the lead, and look who's in second place. Panda. Panda, we already saw his qualifying position, very off from what we're used to seeing.
Yeah. His car pretty much was sideways
making a good effort.
First corner. It was pretty much at a 90-degree angle through the first corner. Come out safe with the racing my car.
Jankum now making his way, trying to get around Panda from the mistakes that he made.
Yeah, I mean, this is another very, very close group. If I'm this group, in all honesty, I might just try and lock up and get some ground up on the leader. Not try to pass anyone yet, maybe try to pass somebody into the
Well,
corner
right here,
the
that might be what we're seeing here with third and second. Vanquish is bump drafting off-road. We're technically on a road course.
Yeah.
And we're bump drafting.
Behind them in fourth, fifth, and sixth are pretty much close to bump drafting and losing him a little bit. They can get card up to them. They might be able to make some moves that coming up if they can get enough speed.
Maybe might be able to here. But now, with them working together, second and third, they have made up a lot of ground on Hawk. Now, Vanquish is trying to get off-road a little bit because he knows the braking zone. Coming up right here.
Ooh,
now that's a lot of ground
mixed
made up!
it, Cam mixed it.
And Cam.
Another car behind them mixed it. That was a fear that I had when I see them get 3-4 into that drafting stream is you get maybe a little bit too much speed and when you're that closely wadded, somebody's going to have to brake and might not be expecting the person who's going to break when they're going to break.
Right along, Jenkum, Marino trying to make his way back around. This is all for 9th.
Yeah, there's a
MVP in 8th spot. These cars, everybody's all over the place.
Yeah, this is probably one of the actual legitimate closer races we've had all year. This much into it. We're closing to that halfway mark. We're at that halfway mark. We're still, but anyone can win this.
Oh, Hawk vanquished! Nearly spinning. Hawk able to save it.
So that's what Off-Road wants to see, who's just behind him in 30. He gains time off that. He wants these two to battle as hard as they physically can to not only wear each other out, but to lose time to himself. And so that he can just sit there and watch it unfold and maybe get a couple free spots out of it.
Woo! Hawk cut it a little bit close on that first chicane. For sure, I'm sure Hawk did not intend to get that close to the tire barrier as he did.
Yeah, obviously you want to get close enough where it's not going to be all there as caution comes out. It appears to be into the chicane. Seeing a couple cars stopped in the chicane by the looks of it. So I think we might have had some problems in coming into the chicane with a couple of drivers.
So it did happen for sure somewhere around top 5 positions, because that's where all the cars are coming from in the big group.
Yeah, I have a feeling somebody might have cut it.
Let's turn the map on here.
I have a feeling somebody might have cut it just a little too much. You might have clipped one of those tire barriers. And
oh, girl next door really far separated from the field here.
Yeah. I feel like every time we call their name and say that they're doing well, it seems that we're doing a complete 180.
It's LeMans, man. We're going all over the place.
Yeah. I feel like it's the second time that we've called out girl next door thinking, hey, you're doing pretty well, and then in the next couple of laps they were not doing so well. Even this race, just this season.
Possibly. Now, AK, do you have a timestamp of how much is remaining?
Not right now, but I'll have one in just a little bit.
Alright. Now, girl next door, as we see the one isolated car on the minimap, making their way regrouped with the field. They might get going back to green, probably once we hit the halfway mark of this backstretch. So, I'm not going to be going as fast as they would have the first time when we got going towards the front of this straightaway.
We'll be going at 28, just above 28 minutes left in the race. We are just below half in.
Okay, so just past halfway. 28 minutes remaining in the race. Because I hate here on this ticker we do not have a real timer, as now we are going.
Well, we'll see what happens here. We've seen this twice now. Once it went fine, the second time it did not, so third time's the charm, right? That they are almost by 2.
Vanquish, trying to make moves on Hawk. Let's right back to MVP, who's in 8th. A whole wad and C in front of him. What's going to happen when we get down here? He slows down. Tires smoking up. Kart racer wide. Jankum on the low side. The leaders went off.
Oh, Hawk numbers went off. It's going to cause another chain reaction. A lot of cars around are being hit and
knocked around. I've seen a couple of smart moves there by Reno and MVP. They backed it up really quick.
Whoa!
Very,
Oracle nearly
very
getting
close
together
car
another.
behind them, though.
Yep, car around behind.
That was.
Like that either. And now those top three. Now all these cars are going to be eager to try and get back to the front, because with the time frame that we have left, I put a timer. They said go at just before 28 minutes. So I put a timer so we have a rough estimate of how much time is left in the race. And they have just above 26 minutes based off of my timer, but it's not the official race timer.
Yeah, absolutely. It is one of the flaws with lot, but I mean, also you know what Brown's doing. But I mean, we've seen that now twice, where we've had a restart on that very long backstretch.
Panda Cam!
Panda
Gonna go around!
Barely dodged it, but
barely missed him. And Panda actually did a good job of not getting caught in the gravel trap there.
Yeah,
If he would have gotten caught in a gravel trap, we would have been all the way towards the back of the field entirely.
Yeah, that's probably one of the bigger runoffs here. So, look, McCarthy for the same time as last year. He was pretty runoff. Rico was one of them.
Now going back up to the front here. Top three right now being Jankum, MVP, and Cart. Cart trying to make his way around MVP. And now Cam also getting into the mix as well, nearly spinning MVP out. He backs off. Just a little bit, but now more aggression to be made out of Cam.
Yeah, I feel like these cars are trying to feel the pressure.
Cam off track! Into the grass. He loses a spot to Kart Racer there.
Cart went a little wider than he wanted to.
Yes, he did.
And regains that position back from that.
And now Vanquish, he's made his way back to third. Oh no, he's all over the bumper of MVP.
And then that's a duo you definitely do not want drafting behind you, because those are two of the fastest guys that are drafting, and you can see how much
now,
they're getting.
They are running down really quickly on Jacob.
Yeah, that's a duo you definitely don't want drafting on the long two, because those are two cars that can gain position, can get a lot of position.
And these are probably the two fastest drivers this season. Now gaining under 50 feet now. Jacob, he only tried to defend once.
Yeah, Jacob
now on by.
Didn't have the speed to try and defend that once. He had one shot to try and maybe get in between them. Unfortunately, he almost had it, but he unfortunately just couldn't slide up or slide down fast enough.
Now, no one behind this time did slide in because missing the braking point. But we do have the other car who is in the top three. Hawk trying to make his way around. Kart Racer for fifth!
Great save by Kart. Girl next door avoids.
Next door avoids. That was, wow. Kart Racer showed why he races in real life as well, right there. Cam in the sand trap. Oh! Go Girl Next Door and Hawk, but Girl Next Door got the worst of that.
Going to get the best of that. He'll gain 3 spots out of that.
Yes, he will. Now Girl Next Door contesting with TikTok X73 for another spot.
Now here's just very excited. In first and second, we have MVP and Vanquish, who look to be just trying to get away from the rest of the field. Because it doesn't look like Vanquish is actively trying to maybe get on the low side of Vanquish. It looks like he's just staying. Looks like he's just staying alive with MVP. So these two continue to work together, at least for the time being. They could try and run away with this race and just make it a 2-car race.
If they make it a two-car race, you stated that their lap times were actually pretty close. We're used to Vanquish at a lot of tracks being farther ahead than most. MVP typically second, third. MVP got the gravel trap a little bit.
Yeah, their lap times were 0.219 difference, I believe. But another thing to note is Vanquish's lap was clean, while MVP's lap was dirty. Now, it could have been dirty by just a hair, which is assuming what he did.
Could have been, yeah.
So they have relatively the same lap time, but obviously Vanquish may have
A lot can change on this track.
Yeah, Vanquish may have a little tiny bit more. MVP is very loose off the curve.
He is struggling a lot now. Struggles in that section right before the long straightaway.
But yeah, I mean, that could
now
be
Jenkins might make up ground here.
If those two can get back together, it could be very close, and that's what he needed. Caution is out. It would appear to be back by that wall. I believe two cars may have hit that wall. Reno, I think, is one of them. I don't know who the second car is. Might have been Miami. Not either of those two being incident, I did see a couple cars stop along that wall. Car came very close to hitting just before the action.
Yeah, unfortunately, we did not catch Cart getting on how close we did here on our end because the camera, the replay camera there, cuts off at the tire barrier.
Yeah.
So you can't really see it.
Cart didn't have more than 5 inches from the wall. So a little tweak to the right.
So fairly close.
Yeah, a little tweak to the right, and he would be more than close to the wall. He would be hitting the wall.
So by my guess here, we're going to be near the 20-minute mark of the race.
Yeah. We need to hear word from the official.
Yeah, waiting for officials to see where they're at, and we'll see how our timer, how accurate it is or not. Because once they give a timestamp of when they are going to go back to green, and if we find that our timer is off, then I can easily reset a timer.
Sounds like they're going to be using a location this time, but I can't tell you unfortunately where we're at. It sounds like they're going to be going after the straight. I think they've learned that the straight is not the best option. Caution will be at 5 minutes.
5 minutes, caution's cut off. So that's a little bit over 1 lap. Because it takes around 3 minutes 30 seconds, around there. 3 minutes 35 seconds to get around 1 time. So with a lap taking that long and the cutoff being 5 minutes, very much you're looking at
18:30 is when they are going.
18:30 for timestamp. So they just wanted to wait to clear the area.
Yeah.
We're going to be going here soon. There we go.
Hard with a great jump.
Now we've aligned the timer to where our timer should be very, very close within a second.
Yeah, girl next door with another great restart, making a little bit of tag, but go around. And it
tried to make a big move there.
And also the wall, but it doesn't miss it. He gets a little bit of help, maybe.
Jenkum, we see Hawk making his way back up into the top 5.
Yeah, Hawk's been doing a really good job of getting through this field time and time again. He has been involved in, I believe, 1 or 2 incidents, which is why
there was really the one big incident that happened where the top 3 cars went off the track. Ooh, he took that corner a little shallow here, so now Jenkum might make up some ground.
Yeah, but Jenkins being pressed by girl next door, so you might want to try and defend, and it looks like he's going to try and defend a little more than attack.
By the way, a lot of time to be gained here. But that top two, Vanquish MVP, they're not together, but this is for sure a top two that you do not want to see together.
Yeah. These chicanes are definitely high risk, high reward, because if you make even an inch of a wrong move, you will cause a massive pileup depending on where you are, because if you hit one of those walls, you will come to a complete stop or completely sideways, and there's not much room in the chicanes.
Now, Oracle, he was trying to make a move on Kart Racer.
Yeah, it looks like he's now having to try and defend from Hawk. Unfortunately, he will give up that position. Hawk now.
Yep. Made up a lot of ground. Now on the long straightaway, we will see. So Oracle Hawk. But I don't think Oracle is in a tuck in line, because both of these guys, both of them are fighting to get into that 8th position.
Yeah, if I'm these two right now, I might set aside that and just try and draft, because there's nobody really behind you, and the person in front of you is a fair bit ahead of you, so just sort of try and draft, try and bump draft to gain a little bit more time on the straight, and maybe you can both gain a point, and then after that, if you think you're close enough, I would try and stick together, maybe pass.
Now, at another track that they would be drafting at to get in that 8th spot being Daytona, I don't think they would care.
Yeah.
But here being race 12, yeah, not much to really fight through here. They're already really far ahead of Reno. Reno being all the way back in 9th position.
Yeah, it's also the style of the track. His car goes off ahead of them, so they'll get that position. But especially at this track, where it's a much bigger track, so that gap could improve very much. You just want to have buddies around you, you want to be friendly with people around you, you don't want to make too many enemies. Because if you do get to that backtrack, you have an enemy beside you, and there's a third person, that enemy 9 times out of 10 will choose that other person over you, so you'll just lose 2 spots. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a road course and a Daytona mix. For Daytona, you want friends to help draft, and then there's obviously these very slow and very tight corners. So it's a little bit of both worlds mixed.
We were on board here with Smokey. Smokey going very slow on the backstretch, so I'm assuming he's just cruising here.
Yeah, he might.
He knows he's not near anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, his RPM sounded really, really far off, different from Culture, who's the last place car currently.
Yeah.
Moving all the way up, let's go back up to Kart Racer. Now Hawk has made his way to 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys obviously have practice. We know a couple that have practiced throughout the week. But actually, Vanquish just come into pit. Most actually going to lead the pit to MVP.
Hawk got into the track a little bit off track. Now Kart, he has passed him. Now a really far gap to MVP. Since
Oh, what has happened with Reno? Reno was reversed quickly backwards. He might have missed the pit lane, or he might have collided with the walls and the chicanes, because he was completely backwards, completely stopped in the middle of the pit.
There are a handful of cars going into pit road right now.
I'm thinking
So
he
might
might
have missed his pit.
If he pits next time by, I'm going to say that he definitely did miss pit lane, but he was
Let's hope that he was not cutting it close, because it takes a long time to get around this track.
Yeah, obviously, he did pit with the rest of everyone that pit during the second caution, sorry. So if the other 4 cars are staying out that are ahead of him, he might have enough. Obviously those cars were saving a lot, he might be close. But he should theoretically have enough of 4 cars ahead of him and a couple cars behind him are staying out.
Yeah, because Reno, he was all the way back in near 10th, 9th position. Now, with him being 5th, a lot of cars made their pit stops. Top 4, as you said, did not go into pit road, but we have seen nobody on a real clear fuel strategy, considering the amount of laps that you need to run.
Yeah, and I think it might have to do a little bit with not only this track, but also the now time instead of lap counts. Because you can go and figure out how many laps you can make it on fuel. But yet again, it's a timed race, so that could come out to literally the last lap you need to go in and pit. But I do think some of these cars are safe, because I just heard MVP press the clutch all the way down through the corner. I do think these cars actually might be coming in very close.
Cart Hawk sliding just a little bit. A little bit of aggression going on there. And, I mean, this is for second position. Hawk, he's just trying to shorten the gap to Reno. But then also, Kart Racer, he's trying to get more playoff points.
Yeah.
Because as it stands right now, Kart Racer, if the playoffs ended today, Kart Racer would be sitting in 4th, which is the transfer spot for the championship in terms of playoff points.
Yeah,
and for the actual playoffs.
That's a very be in, because you're most likely, unless of course you should miss every race from here to the playoffs, you're most likely safe. Because there aren't many cars. There are cars outside the playoffs that you challenge you, but if you were at least started every race, you would most likely make the playoffs. Motion chicanes. Yep, 2 cars off in the chicanes. They missed the pit. They missed the entrance. Not missed the entrance to pit, but wrecked in the entrance to pit. I was talking cart.
Yeah, but now Reno does go into pit road this time. So, yeah, last time he missed his pit.
Yeah, a car that's cutting it very close is MVP. He is only at 70% fuel left, and he's going to try and go around again.
He is coasting. He has a long lead. Yeah, we hear him. He's coasting.
Yeah, he's been coasting for a little bit. I heard him coast a couple of corners near the end of the last lap. But a very risky move by MVP that could or could not work out for him.
He has roughly a 3,000-foot lead over off-road, who's the second-place car. Doesn't sound like he's trying to save that much, though, on the long stretch.
If anywhere I could try to get up to the max, or near the max speed, and then I would definitely start coasting throughout periodically. Great, this would be the one part I would definitely be on.
Well, with the top out and the drafting speed that you reach individually, the climbing and the acceleration is very low. It's very slow trying to get up. Oh, and he does. He
looks like he's going to try and coast it.
He's
all
on
the
the
way to the
clutch. He's on the clutch completely. He's coasting all the way throughout that corner, and now he gets back on the gas.
Yeah.
But now it is a 1,000-foot lead.
Yeah. And then, if you look at the map, he has a very long way to go. He is just above 10% left. He's about to flicker down to 10% any second now.
And you said he started the lap at 17. He's at 10% now. He might be okay on a few percentage points.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he is coasting.
He's just flickered down to 10%, so he should make it, but
Yeah,
by
he
maybe
should make
1
it.
or 2%.
I'm saying closer to 3% he should make it. 3-4%, because he is coasting and saving a lot.
But I mean, this
He's taking a lot of stress off the engine in parts of the track where you are putting a lot of stress on the engine.
This technically didn't really help him because he's lost a lot of time. And the Hawk came out in 6th, and he had a fairly big gap, so he might have been able to come out in 3rd place just ahead of Vanquish.
So now, but now right here, based off of our timer, which we know is a little bit closer to what they're running than what it was beforehand, we're right at 6.5 minutes left in the race. And what is MVP doing?
Again. He's gonna go around again. Is he banking on a caution? He used 9% fuel. He has 7% as he crosses the line. He's either going to lose a lot of time or just run out of fuel. Did he
had 7.
realize where the wall was for pit?
Did he not realize where pit road? What, he didn't even make an attempt to dive to the right, where pit road entrance is.
He's either going to lose a lot of time and probably 3-4 positions, or he's just going to run out of fuel, or both. He's at 6%. And he has to go down this long straightaway.
Yep, he has to go down the long stretch. There's only 2 cars in relative distance to him, being off-road and Vanquish. After that, there's a massive gap to 4th.
I mean, if MVP wants any hope of making it, he needs to clutch a lot through the straight, which he is not doing. He's down to 4%, and he's only halfway through the straight, not even halfway.
He might run out of fuel on the very end of this straightaway. If not, the second long straightaway.
And 3, he's not gonna make it. There's no way
He's not gonna make it the rest of this lap. And when he runs out, he needs
coast the entire way, 2%.
He needs to coast through pretty much half of the track.
Yeah, I think he's either realized that he's not going to make it, because he got on the throttle again, but, I mean, 2% left, you have a lot of on and off on the next portions of this track. 1% left now. He's going to run out, and he's going to lose a lot of time and probably a lot of position.
Maybe not a lot of position, because it's an 8,000-foot gap that he has to 4th. He's for sure going to lose to 2nd and 3rd. Yep, he's going to sputter. So MVP is out, but there's a couple sharp corners and areas left on this track that he needs to slow down for. He can't speed up.
0%, he is out.
He is out, sputtering. After this sharp turn... Yep, you hear him, he's sputtering.
He's shooting it back and forth. He's trying to get everything he can out of it.
Yeah, he's trying to get everything that he can out of the tank. Now off-road. Coming behind, making up this large gap.
Oh, going to the sand trap will not help MVP.
Well, because MVP, he knows he can't brake too much, or otherwise he's not going to have enough momentum to get all the way back to pit lane.
Yeah. Yeah, if he reaches 0, he is done, and he will lose a lot of time. You can see everyone just gaining and gaining on him. Oh,
that 8,000-foot gap goes to an under 5,000-foot gap now. He's very slow. Will he make it?
No caution is being called for it. As of right now.
If he does come to a stop, then a yellow would be called. Oh, wait a minute. Now we're under 5 minutes in the race, though.
Yeah.
And
now
the
he
cutoff.
can't physically have. So if he would have just thrown away the race.
He did. He's not going to recover from this. He's not going to be able to get back up. He wants someone to hit him. Or he would like someone to hit him. That would be against the rules. If you run out of fuel, or if you're... Unless you are stuck, you are not allowed to receive assistance from another driver when you're coasting. And there's a couple sharp turns to get into the pit lane. He's in the pit lane. It's a matter of when Forza will pick his car up.
It's not for a fair bit till Forza picks his car up. So.
Because when Forza picks your car up, and what we say by that, what you're going to see, have you all the way back to 13th. He's going to go all the way to last.
Yeah, when I said he was going to go back far once he lost fuel, I meant that he had a very long way to go.
Well, at the same time, Forza should pick up his car soon here.
I believe it is just around the corner.
There we go. Forza picks it up. Now he has enough fuel, quote unquote, in the car to get down pit lane.
With 5 minutes left, it's mostly a two-car race unless Vanquish or Off-Road wreck. Off-Road.
Well, we are approaching, based off of our timer, we're under a minute in the race.
That's what Off-Road wants to see, because he is at 19% left in his fuel. He can only go a little longer.
And now with this would be the final lap. You can't run one more.
Nope.
So when they come to the line, that will be the end of the race. And Off-Road, who started this race
dead last.
Dead last.
That's why I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, in last. And unless he makes a major mistake, I'm not sure if Vanquish is going to catch him.
Oh!
Oh!
It's done! It's done!
It's done! It's done! It's spazzing out. Oh no! The stream!
Welcome to Forza.
So, Off-Road is the winner of the race! Now, I don't believe I caught who was in third. Now, just to make sure, we will check in with race control to confirm the top three. Your official top three: Off-Road Hype, Vanquish, and Oracle.
Yeah, a lot of guys.
Will round out the top. Wow.
The top five only maybe 2 or 3 maybe
And
we would be used to seeing in that top 5. Obviously, Oracle we might see in that top 5.
The cars are spazzing out here on my screen.
Yeah, I see that too. I've got Carlos MVP's car on top of me.
I see Reno behind mine. I see Edwards. And then I see Culture's car spazzing next to my driver car.
Yeah, Forza might just be a little bit broken right now.
So let's try to get those guys in here. And oh boy. Just that was wow.
Oh, and now D-Dog's car is parallel parked on top of me.
Where is did off-road leave the lobby?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so now I need to go to his name directly.
There we go. Okay.
Good audio.
Everyone is in, make sure audio is included. Right, everyone's ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Alright, as everyone knows, AK will take the winner, but first we start with second and third for the top three here tonight. So, Oracle, as you said when you first set into the party, first podium this season. It has been a while since we've seen you back up in this position, really not until the later half of last season is where we saw you be consistently in the top 5+ positions. But with tonight's race being unexpected, it was awesome for our point of view in the booth, but how was it from you and the track being right next to all the chaos happening?
It was definitely a roller coaster. I enjoyed the race as a whole. Let's say it's very competitive, so it's like that. Overall, good race.
Overall good race, and yeah, roller coaster. We were seeing a lot of drivers go from being in the top 3 to being all the way back in 9th, but then being able to regain that time back. But speaking of, with tonight's race being a timed race, did that change the pace, the tempo of anything that we were seeing tonight? Because usually with a lap count, we have a hardcore, this is the cutoff, this is when we're back going. Procedure's very different tonight, so how were you able to adapt to the changes from a regular XRS race?
It was just about normal. You have to just adjust to the restarts, which is basically just you're watching the time. Hoping you can get the best jump in time. I, of course, made a mistake early on in the race. I learned to adapt. I could finish.
Good finish indeed, and good luck to you, sir, for the rest of the season.
I appreciate it. Talk to you guys more often.
Hopefully so.
Bye.
And now, on to second place. Really? Second place? Vanquish? I'm not used to interviewing you.
This guy. This guy's.
Well,
I don't remember this guy being second place.
5 times this season you have won. No, by the way, nice paint scheme tonight. I wonder who made that. But like I said, it was a fun race from our perspective. So now I ask the same question to you: how was the race from your perspective? Looked super competitive tonight.
Yeah, it was competitive. It was chaotic at the beginning sometimes, but it was pretty fun. Probably the most fun race I've had so far. Yeah.
So for sure, a great experience tonight. Great finish for you as always. You finishing here second place. Now with the field and how competitive that it was tonight, was this a once in a blue moon that we're going to see that much competitiveness again, or is there anything that you're looking into, considering the point standings, playoff points now, MVP, who you two were tied in playoff points, you're going to be ahead of him after this race. So is that just more to build on for the rest of the season?
That's the goal, is just to beat up MVP.
Well, good luck on you for the rest of the season. I'm sure you don't need it, though. You've already shown yourself and proven yourself as very, very competitive, very, very fast. But still, best of luck.
Thank you.
Now, AK, you do the honors.
Yep, obviously we're with first place off-road. Obviously, first of all, congratulations on the win tonight. Obviously, the first win of the season for you, but obviously second win you've gotten. So obviously, first of all, how did you keep a flat and cool head after obviously starting in the back for this race all the way, and then eventually moving up all the way to first place? How did you get it done tonight?
Well, really, when you're in the back, you just know crap's going to happen during the whole race, because if it's happened to you, it's most likely going to happen to other people. And the rate of cautions that were happening, I was just saving fuel, and then it turns out I was the last one to pit during all of it, and I realized that it was after halfway mark, and I just ran away with it after everyone went through their pit cycles.
Yeah, obviously, we did see you on a very low fuel there at the end. Like MVP asked, Oracle, do you think this sort of not new rule, but different set of rules for this track benefited you and helped you getting the win tonight?
There was definitely some areas of the track where I struggled cutting, and then where I prevailed. Definitely coming to the last of the chicanes, I used to cut this track so much, like cutting this track is my specialty. So I gained so much time in that last section coming to the line cutting, and I feel like that's where all my sand came from, if I were to have any.
For the most part of this race, it looked like you were sort of stalking in that top 5 area, but then obviously, like we've seen, once it came down to a few minutes left in the race, it looked like you might have had it off the Vanquish was right there. How did you make sure you were staying ahead of Vanquish throughout the last couple of minutes of the race?
So, when I was younger and playing these games, I used to get actually really excited when I was in first and stuff, and then I would just be the master choke arts. What I found is I was actually just targeting MVP, because when I checked the scoreboard last, it was Reno, and then I saw it turn to Vanquish, and I'm like, well, this race is done. But I just kept pushing towards MVP, and it turns out MVP ran out of fuel, so just like, floor it, gotta go. I have the fuel, let's go.
Obviously, congratulations on tonight, as always. A very well put together race by you and a lot of the other drivers in this field tonight were very competitive and showed very good drivermanship throughout the night. But of course, yet again, congratulations on the win tonight, and good luck in the season and next week's race.
Well, I think I'll be having some good luck in the playoffs too, because that's 9th place spot with contention with Reno, right?
Yeah, because now, off of that point, because I was going to bring it up at the end of it, you are the first driver eligible for that 9th playoff spot, for a wild card spot. And Reno, most likely at the end of this race, will be knocked out, and so now he is also an eligible driver. So now the rest of this regular season got a lot more interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, just judging by where people finished, you could already tell that this was going to throw everything off in the playoff standings and point standings, because there's a lot of people that maybe would not have placed where they would in, say, a regular race like Homestead. And this race might have boosted them and helped them a lot. Obviously, off-road, we've seen you crawl up here a couple times, maybe get a top 5, but also we haven't seen you win yet. This week you did get the win. We've seen Girl Next Door get a top 5. Oracle we've seen in top 5s, but not top 3s this season. Cart is down into the 7th. Obviously, the big one is MVP, the leader in the playoffs, finishing in 15th. Vulture in 14th. Reno in 13th. This race really threw around these point standings a lot.
It's going to be all over the place. Best of luck you off-road the rest of the season, because now you really need a lot of luck here, because you're fighting for a ninth spot.
Well, you need skill too. So. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep. And so, AK, from what we said before pre-race, before the stream started up, we really couldn't predict this race. From what we were saying, very, very different from what actually occurred and happened.
Obviously,
just wow.
Some of our road course ringers or people that are overall good, MVP, Culture, Reno, those guys were some of the guys that we were predicting would be higher up on this race, and they finished 13th, 14th, and 15th. I think not only with the timer, but obviously this racetrack, how it's sort of a blend of a Daytona and a road course. I think it threw a lot of drivers off, and it threw a lot of drivers for a loop tonight. And some drivers may not have just been prepared enough or just weren't ready or didn't practice enough for this racetrack. So I think definitely it would have been a very hard race to predict tonight.
Very hard race indeed, and that brings up a question: should XRS won more timed events? But now for sure, based off of driver feedback, a very competitive, very fun race. So who knows? This might become a reoccurring event. And if it is, we need to have fun every single time. So, AK, thank you for this week, joining me once more. And hopefully you will join me for next week again for race 13 at, I believe it's Maple Valley or Spa. By the way, a couple more unique tracks before we get into the home stretch to the end of the season. And hopefully you join me for that as well.
Yeah, of course. Honestly, it's always a pleasure being up in the booth with both of you and watching these XRS races, especially ones like this where it's very hard to predict, and it gives you a lot of excitement, and it shows the competitiveness and the driver skill level of everyone in the field. Always a joy to be up in the booth, and I'm excited to watch next week's race.
That'll be so long from this week here at Le Mans. Make sure to join us next week for Maple Valley. I'm Fan 2403. So long for now.